The vast plains of North America were once home to an animal so central to life that its presence shaped the culture, economy, and spirituality of the indigenous peoples who lived there. The American bison, more commonly called the buffalo, was not just a source of food. It was the lifeblood of the Great Plains tribes, including the Lakota, Cheyenne, Arapaho, Blackfeet, Comanche, and many others. Before the arrival of European settlers, millions of buffalo roamed freely across the plains, their herds stretching as far as the eye could see, shaping the very ecology of the land and sustaining the human communities who depended on them. The buffalo provided everything: meat for nourishment, hides for clothing and shelter, bones for tools, sinew for thread, and even dung for fuel. Every part of the animal was used, and nothing was wasted. For Plains tribes, the buffalo was sacred. Spiritual ceremonies often honored the animal, recognizing it as a gift from the Creator, a symbol of abundance, resilience, and the interconnectedness of all life. Hunting buffalo required skill, courage, and deep knowledge of the herd's behavior. Tribes developed sophisticated methods, including communal drives into corrals or over cliffs, to harvest the animals efficiently and sustainably. The relationship between the buffalo and the Plains tribes was symbiotic. The tribes depended on the buffalo for survival, and their hunting practices ensured that the herds remained healthy and abundant for generations. Seasonal migrations of the tribes followed the movements of the buffalo, and entire social structures, from family units to tribal councils, were organized around the rhythms of the herds. Buffalo hunting was more than subsistence. It was a cultural practice that reinforced community bonds, taught young people essential skills, and connected individuals to their spiritual and natural world. Clothing made from buffalo hides, including robes, moccasins, and dresses, was often decorated with intricate beadwork and painted symbols, linking material culture directly to identity and status within the tribe. The buffalo also played a role in trade, serving as a valuable commodity exchanged with neighboring tribes for goods, horses, and other necessities, further shaping economic networks across the plains. For centuries, the Great Plains tribes thrived, their lives inseparable from the rhythms of the buffalo herds, their survival intertwined with the health of the land and the herds that roamed it. Everything changed with the arrival of European settlers and the expansion of the United States westward. By the mid-19th century, railroads, commercial hunting, and settler encroachment began to disrupt the plains ecosystem and threaten the buffalo population. Hunting for sport became increasingly common, fueled by new technologies such as high-powered rifles and the ability to transport hides and meat by train. The mass slaughter of buffalo was not only devastating to the herds, it was a deliberate strategy used by the U.S. government to undermine the Plains tribes, depriving them of their primary food source and weakening their resistance to forced relocation onto reservations. By the 1870s, the buffalo population had dropped from tens of millions to mere thousands, a catastrophic loss that caused famine, social upheaval, and cultural disintegration among the tribes. Tribes who had once been powerful, independent, and self-sufficient found themselves forced to depend on government rations, struggling to maintain their traditional ways of life as their connection to the buffalo was severed. Spiritual practices linked to the buffalo were also impacted. Ceremonies, dances, and rituals that relied on the presence or hides of the animal had to be adapted or abandoned, leaving a profound spiritual void in many communities. The destruction of the buffalo was both ecological and cultural. Not only were the herds nearly annihilated, but the traditional knowledge, hunting techniques, and cultural practices of the Plains tribes faced the threat of being lost forever. Despite these challenges, the tribes endured. Communities found ways to adapt, preserve their knowledge, and maintain their identities even in the face of starvation, relocation, and assimilation policies. Buffalo hides were replaced with government-issued blankets, but the symbolism of the animal lived on through stories, songs, and the art of the people. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, conservation efforts began to save the few remaining buffalo, though these herds were small and fragmented compared to their historic numbers. Some Plains tribes participated in these early conservation efforts, understanding that the survival of the buffalo was essential not only for the land, but also for the continuation of their culture and heritage. In the 20th century, the buffalo experienced a slow recovery, And today, managed herds on tribal lands, national parks, and private reserves help preserve the species and its cultural significance. Tribes such as the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Blackfeet have reintroduced buffalo to their lands, creating opportunities to reconnect with traditional practices, teach youth, and celebrate the animal's spiritual importance. Buffalo restoration projects also serve as powerful educational tools, raising awareness about the ecological and cultural history of the Great Plains and the consequences of human exploitation. The story of the buffalo is not just a story of survival. It is a story of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring connection between humans and nature. It demonstrates the deep respect indigenous peoples have had for the natural world and the devastating impact of colonization and industrial expansion. Today, tribes continue to lead efforts in conservation, ensuring that future generations can learn about the buffalo and its role in shaping Plains culture. Ceremonies honoring the buffalo, storytelling, and educational programs reinforce the significance of this magnificent animal and teach lessons about balance, respect, and sustainability. The buffalo remains a living symbol of identity, strength, and continuity for the Plains tribes. Its story teaches us that survival is not just about the physical. It is about the spiritual, cultural, and communal connections that sustain life. By understanding the history of the buffalo and the Plains tribes, we gain insight into how closely human societies can be tied to the animals and ecosystems around them. We also learn the consequences of disrupting that balance and why stewardship, respect, and cultural preservation are vital. The near extinction of the buffalo forever altered the Great Plains, but the tribe's persistence and resilience continue to honor the animal's legacy. Every buffalo restored to the Plains is a step toward cultural reclamation, a living reminder of the past, and a bridge to the future. The story of the buffalo and the Great Plains tribes reminds us of the richness of indigenous culture, the intelligence behind sustainable living, and the reverence for the natural world that has much to teach us today. Understanding this history also highlights the intertwined fates of people and animals, illustrating how the loss of one can profoundly affect the other. The Plains tribes adapted to the challenges imposed by European expansion, creating new ways to survive while preserving core elements of their traditions, despite the loss of the buffalo. For many, the buffalo symbolizes endurance, resilience, and hope, serving as a spiritual anchor for communities rebuilding from trauma and displacement. Restoration projects today are not only ecological, they are deeply cultural, reconnecting tribes with ceremonial practices, hunting traditions, and community gatherings that honor the buffalo. Tribal schools teach children about the buffalo, ensuring that knowledge passed down through generations is not lost. Storytelling and oral histories preserve the connection to ancestors who lived in harmony with the herds for centuries. The buffalo's resurgence also helps revitalize the Great Plains ecosystem, demonstrating how cultural and environmental restoration can go hand in hand. By learning about this history, modern audiences can appreciate the delicate balance that existed between humans and nature and how its disruption can have far-reaching consequences. The buffalo is more than a species. It is a symbol of identity, survival, and the enduring power of tradition. It embodies the resilience of the Plains tribes and the deep bond between people and the natural world. The lessons of the buffalo echo today, reminding us that cultural heritage, environmental stewardship, and respect for life are inseparable. Sustaining the buffalo population is not just an act of conservation. It is a reclamation of a legacy nearly lost and a reaffirmation of the values that shaped a civilization. The story of the buffalo and the Great Plains tribes is a reminder that history is not only about battles and treaties, but also about the animals, landscapes, and cultural practices that define a people. The Plains without buffalo are empty in more ways than one, but their return brings hope, renewal, and continuity. Every ceremony, every story, and every restored herd is a tribute to the resilience of the tribes and the enduring importance of the buffalo. Through the efforts of Native communities today, the buffalo continues to thrive, embodying the spirit of the Plains and teaching new generations about respect, courage, and perseverance. This history is vital for understanding the complex relationships between humans and animals, culture and nature, survival and spirituality. The buffalo shaped economies, societies, and belief systems, and its near extinction reminds us how easily these delicate systems can be disrupted. Yet, the rebirth of buffalo herds stands as a testament to the determination of indigenous peoples and the possibility of renewal. By studying the buffalo's impact, we gain insight into the innovation, sustainability, and spiritual depth of the Great Plains tribes. We see how intimately life can be connected to a single species and the profound consequences when that balance is broken. The buffalo's story is intertwined with the history of the Great Plains, the survival of the tribes, and the ongoing journey to preserve culture, identity, and land. The animal once taken for granted became the symbol of everything lost and everything that can be regained. As we reflect on this history, we recognize that conservation is about more than wildlife. It is about culture, heritage, and community. The plains today are different, yet the buffalo's spirit endures, reminding us of what once was and what can be reclaimed through dedication and care. The story continues to unfold as tribes reclaim land, educate youth, and restore the herds, bridging the past with the future. Buffalo and the Great Plains tribes offer lessons in resilience, adaptation, and the power of cultural identity to survive even the harshest disruptions. Their story teaches respect for all life, the consequences of greed, and the necessity of preserving traditions that connect us to the earth. The buffalo is more than an icon. It is the embodiment of a way of life that defined a continent. Through this lens, we understand the human and ecological cost of destruction and the remarkable efforts of those committed to renewal. The story of the buffalo reminds us that history is alive, not just in textbooks, but in the land, the animals, and the living traditions of indigenous peoples. Every herd restored, every ceremony held, and every story told ensures that the bond between the buffalo and the Great Plains tribes will endure for generations. Their resilience, creativity, and dedication offer inspiration for all of us to respect the natural world and the cultural knowledge it sustains. So, if you've been inspired by this journey through history, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment about what other indigenous histories or cultural stories you'd like us to explore in future videos. Because the story of the buffalo is far from over, and together, we can honor it, preserve it, and learn from it.